Today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, 11 kids, 8 bigs and 3 littles began the day hoping to advance to the show. And today, you'll see the top 2 littles and the top 4 bigs compete for the right to sign the coveted trophy pin. Let's meet them now. In the littles division, our top 2 finalists are Rowan Sautner in the 2 spot and Hunter Moffett in the 1 seed. They'll bowl 1 match for the title in the littles division. And in the bigs, the number 4 qualifier, Gilbert Kang, will face a visitor from Columbus, Georgia, making his first appearance on Prodigy today, John Woolfolk. The winner of that match will face the number 2 seed, Big Logan Mathis. And the winner of that match will advance to bowl for the title in the bigs division today against our tournament leader, who else? Nick Dissinger. Those are our talented finalists today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. This is Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Live on tape from Brunswick Zone Roswell in Roswell, Georgia. This is Coach Randy, welcoming you to episode 82 of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, Big Bad Wolf. Now, in case the name doesn't make it clear enough for you, they're bowling today on the PBA's Wolf pattern, just 32 feet in length, so the player who has the nerve to play the farthest out by the gutter is likely going to have the most success. But who's really willing to live on the edge like that? We'll soon find out. Here's how things shook out in qualifying. After the first game, Hunter seized the early lead in the littles, and Nick was the only one in the bigs to break 200. After 2 games, there was no change at all to the order of the players in the littles, and the same 4 that led in the bigs division after the opening game of qualifying were our top 4 after the second game as well. So, let's move right over to the championship match in the littles division. Hunter, being the higher qualifier, had the choice of starting lanes. And this will be the first time these two have actually met and bowled a full match on Prodigy. We were denied this pairing in the Trick or Treat as easy as 1, 2, 3 episode when Rowan was eliminated in the first frame. Hunter comes up a little thin on that opening toss, leaves the 2. You'll notice he's throwing his plastic ball. These lanes are hooking so much. If you throw reactive, these little guys who don't generate a lot of ball speed, they're having a hard time just keeping the ball on the lane. And Hunter covers the spare, so that's a good start. And I'm telling you, on this pattern today, spares are at a premium. See how much that ball's hooking? Rowan actually got that ball pretty far out, but these young guys, they're just, they haven't developed their fearlessness enough yet to play out by the edge where this pattern really demands that you play. Oh! Chop suey. He takes the 3 off the 6 and 10, and that's an open in the first. And that one crosses over and he gets a Brooklyn strike. And I promise you, he will take it. Take another look at this and watch where his hand is at release. Trying to get these guys to come more up the back of the ball instead of having their hand way out on the outside. What that does is it gets the ball to skid down the lane, but then it takes a huge turn on the back end. A little more up the back, and that hook will be a little more controllable. Hunter playing it a little straighter. He's also coming up the side of it, but he generates a little more ball speed to keep it on line. both of these two are throwing plastic today. Plastic balls with pancake weight blocks. It's almost like we've gone back to the 70s today, except that they're both throwing it two-handed. Got a hook. Well, you can't expect it to hook that much when you're throwing plastic, so this match close once again. Hunter throwing his urethane ball that time. That was his pitch black, but you can't belly it quite that much. If you're going to get the ball out there to the outside, you need to start it up the outside. Oh my goodness. How did the 8 stay up on a Brooklyn hit? And Hunter not happy about it. So Rowan with a 13-pin advantage through the first 2.5 frames. And now the little guy will move over to lane 38. Pretty good shot that time. I tell you what, I have given lessons to both of these two, and the first thing I look at when they set foot on the lane is watch their head to see if they look down at the approach to set their feet. I haven't detected it yet from Rowan here. And that's what happens. You gotta know where you're standing, and I'm just kind of starting at the very beginning with the basics with these two, and I tell them the first thing you do before you even put your hand in the ball is check your feet. Got to know where you're standing, and that time he did look down, but he just didn't get that ball out far enough to the right. Wolf really demands that you play up the outside of the lane, but these little guys, they don't have the nerve to do that. And so you're going to see a lot of balls go to the left. On a 32-foot oil pattern where you've got 28 feet from the end of the pattern to the head pin dry, that ball is going to hook. Same thing happened to Hunter there. With 28 feet of dry, that ball is going to hook that last half of the lane. And so it's got to start that travel from right to left far enough to the right that it has room to where when it does hook, it can still find the pocket. If it starts hooking from the middle of the lane, there's no place for it to go but left. There's a spare by Hunter. We'll see some open frames. I imagine we'll see a bunch of them with the bigs, too. This pattern did not produce a lot of high scores today. Well, you can't start the ball from the center or even the left side of the lane and throw it that wide. It's just not going to come back. He's got the 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. And you make it by throwing it right in the pocket spot, just to the right of the head pin. Just like that. That is well done. So now Rowan needs to stop the bleeding. There you go. Set your feet. He makes a big move to the right. Let's see if he throws this thing out to the right. Pretty good. Could have thrown it even farther to the right. He leaves the 6 pin. You can tell by their facial expression, they are a bit bewildered. Stay over there, ball. Well, Rowan still needs to learn how to just come straight up the back of the ball so that he can throw it straight at those right corner spares. Well, you could tell where that ball was at the arrows, that it was going left. He never got it wide enough. Now here's the 1-3-10. We don't see this on Prodigy very often, but you make it by throwing it right in the 1-3 pocket. Or you can get it over there too and send both the 1 and the 3 over toward the 10. That's a good spare by Rowan. Not the way we would draw it up, but you take him anywhere you can get him. Watch this. Whatever it takes. All right, now Hunter. Well, that never got wide enough, but a Brooklyn strike is a strike nonetheless. And Hunter with a 23-pin lead, doesn't care how, just how many. And the score sheet doesn't care either. Going for a double. Well, he'll take as many of those as he can get. Brooklyn or no. All right, Rowan. Look down at the approach. Didn't. Well, he's just not getting the ball out wide enough. Let's take a look at this. We've never done this before. We will superimpose the oil pattern on the lane. Now, watch where Rowan's ball goes. He's going to throw it out about to the 3rd arrow, between the 3rd and 4th arrow. But see where the ball is as it comes off the oil pattern? It needs to be over there where that circle is to have enough room left to hook and still find the pocket. He's just not getting it out far enough to the right. That was a little better. And he threw it a little harder, too, to get it to hold the line. You can do it one of two ways. You can either throw it farther right or throw it harder to keep it from taking so much break. Once again, that ball finds its way to the left side of the head pin, and now he's got a tricky spare. The 1-3-9, you want to favor the 3-pin here. You don't want to hit it in exactly the pocket, or that ball will hook through and miss the 9. Well, he was just too high on the head pin that time. So another open frame, and Hunter has opened up a huge lead with just a few frames left. And Hunter working on a double. And that's a solid strike for a turkey. And his lead grows to 63 pins. And this one looks like it's just about over. That is 10 back right there. Well, that time he just sent it a little too wide. It never got back. But that's enough. He's opened up enough of a lead now that Rowan can't catch him. The 1-2-8-10, here's how you make the washout. Get the ball on the left side of the 1-pin. He can throw it anywhere he wants. He has this game already wrapped up. Hunter will be signing the coveted trophy pin today. And that wasn't even close. And he doesn't care. I think Rowan, looking up at the overhead score, knows that this one's over. These kids can add. There's a strike for Rowan. You know, it was a few years ago that I made it my mission in life. There were two things I wanted to teach these kids. One of them was to identify the pins by number, so that when they came up to me during league and said, "Coach Randy, I made a split," I'd ask them, "Well, what split did you make?" As Rowan's stomping his feet, "It doesn't matter, buddy. It's all over. Hunter got you this game." I wanted him to be able to say, "I made the 4-9 or the 3-10 or whatever the split was," so that they'd be able to tell me what it was. So I wanted them to be able to identify the pins by number, and the second thing was to know how to keep score. And I think a lot of these kids now can look up at the scoreboard and they can tell if they strike out what they'll have, and they'll know whether or not they still have a chance to win the match. Hunter's going to walk this one in. He's got the 3-9. And he still has the 3-9 after the second ball. So that's going to be a 156-115 victory. And we will get Hunter's signature on the coveted trophy pin and set you up for the first Bigs match next. Now, bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your bowling center with Prodigy Bowlers Tour t-shirts and sportswear, including collared shirts with the Prodigy logo printed on the back to show that you support junior bowling. Check out the entire assortment of Prodigy t-shirts in the Brownswick store. Visit PRODIGYBowlersTour.com to see the selection. See the ash gray Celebrating Junior Bowling, Elevating Junior Bowlers t-shirt, or the Who Will Win the Coveted Trophy Pin t-shirt. Or maybe you'd want the one that says, "I've come to get my bowl on," right on the front of the shirt, or simply, "Bowl me." There's a t-shirt that says, "Bowling." You probably don't get it because it's mainly for smart people. And if you're a proud parent with a junior bowler, we've got a t-shirt just for you. And how about this t-shirt? You're bowling an 8th grader. Prepare to meet defeat. Available in grades 1 through 9, most in both adult and kid sizes. And finally, the shirt that reads, "Bowl better, have more fun, take lessons." Then maybe you can keep up with me. The Brownswick store is powered by the people at Cafe Press, and all of these shirts are available right now. Just go to PRODIGYBowlerstour.com and click on the link to be taken right to the store. PayPal and credit cards accepted. That's PRODIGYBowlerstour.com. Get your bowl on and bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your house. Order now. Go to PRODIGYBowlerstour.com. That's PRODIGYBowlerstour.com. Well, the littles still have a ways to go before they understand how to play some of these sport patterns. Sometimes, when a kid is first starting out, they think they're not bowling well, but in fact all they're doing is playing the lane incorrectly. And one thing these kids have to learn is that sport patterns demand that you play them a certain way. Even the best players in the world can't dictate to the lane how they're going to play it. They have to take what the lane gives them. But these littles have a lifetime of learning ahead of them, and for now, it's enough that they're having fun and discovering a little bit at a time. We had a hard time getting Rowan to come out of hiding to talk to us after the match, but Hunter was not shy. He'd have talked all afternoon. But we've got 3 more matches to go, and it's time to turn our attention to the Bigs, where 2 visitors will kick things off today. Gilbert Kang from Brunswick's own Lilburn, who's looking to return to the winner's circle on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. He's not signed the coveted trophy pin yet this season. And John Woolfolk from Bolero Columbus in Columbus, Georgia. He and his mom made a 2.5-hour drive up today just to bowl on Prodigy, and he wants to make the most of the trip. So, let's get match 1 in the Bigs division underway. John was the higher finisher, and he has elected to let Gilbert lead off, and as usual, the player with the option wants to finish first so he can get up and shut out his opponent. And look at Gilbert playing out by the edge. He is fearless. And that is the proper way to play Wolf. Watch this. He's going to cross about 7 at the arrows, out to about 3 at the break point. And the 9 goes out late. That's how it's done. Now, John Woolfolk. He's got a very piston-like action with his two-handed style. He actually keeps his right hand under the ball all the way through release. Watch this. That is a little bit old school in the release, in that he lifts up on the ball. The modern release is more of a yo-yo or a frisbee type throw. John got the modern two-handed style working with the old school lift. And sometimes you'll get a little overreaction with it that way. But that's a double to start. And he takes an early lead. John, a 200 average in his league down at Bolero Columbus. Now, if you want to know what Bolero Columbus looks like, go back and watch our episode called The Prodigy Generation. That was the Pepsi tournament. It was held at Bolero Columbus. In fact, that's where I met John. And Gilbert, once again, out by the gutter. And another solid strike. These two off and running. Let's watch that one again. That was a good ball right there. Kicking out the 10 like that, you know you've got the perfect entry angle when you slap out the 10 and watch it fall inward like that. Now, these two not making Wolf look all that difficult thus far. Well, he didn't get that one out quite as far as he did in the first frame on that left lane. And I think we can demonstrate it with our new Prodigy Insta-Track. Watch this. The shot on the left is the first frame, the strike. The shot on the right is the one he just pulled, and you can see the difference in his trajectory. On the left, he had that ball all the way out to about the second or third board, and on the right, he never got close. And it broke high through the nose. All right, for the 3-pin. Single pin spares have been no gimme today. But he makes short work of the 3-pin. And now it's John's turn. This guy is supremely confident. He came in here and said, I didn't drive this far to lose. And I should say not. Another solid pocket hit. And we'll watch it again. See how he stays behind the ball? This is what I've been preaching to our kids. You don't hook it by going around the ball. These bowling balls nowadays, they are built to hook. All you got to do is just roll them off your fingers. Well, he pulled that one. And he got a little fortunate to break down the 3-9, which can be very difficult on this oil pattern. We'll take another look at this. Watch his reaction. His hands go up. He knows he's in trouble, but he got 9 out of that mess. I got to learn that trick. And now let's see what he can do with another single pin spare. Down goes the 9-pin with no problem whatsoever. All right, Gilbert Meticulous in his pre-shot routine, wiping down the bowling ball. That's good advice for anyone. Taking his time. He can be a very deliberate player at times, but he will not go until he's ready. And that's good for any player. And I tell you what, when you're playing out there, you want to be ready before you throw it. That was a good ball. Ringing 10. You want to see how you leave a ringing 10? Watch the 6-pin. The second one from the right, it will just whistle up and around the neck of the 10-pin. Some people think a 10-pin like that is a bad break. You watch that again, you will see that the ball actually deflects to the right a little bit on both the weak 10 and the strong 10. Uh-oh. Now that's something we don't see Gilbert do very often. But I told you that single pin spares provided a special challenge today on this oil pattern. Even when you're throwing a plastic ball, as Gilbert is, sometimes that ball will hook a little bit because there's 28 feet of dry on the back end. And if you get any axis rotation at all, it's probably going to hook a little bit. He just allowed for a little too much. Well, he looked away as soon as that one came off his hand. He knew it was left, but he got away with it. And he will take that Brooklyn strike. But now John, up in the 5th. See if he can get back on the strike train here. Fell off balance a little bit when he let it go, but that was high flush. I don't know, you could ask for any more. Watch this. He will step off to the right, a little off balance when he lets it go, but you can't place it any better. Watch his reaction to it. There's his falling off to the right, and he will show you a little bit of emotion. He won't say much, but he'll show you. All right, a little thin that time. Leaves the 2. Even though I mentioned that single pin spares were no gimmies on this date, you'd rather leave single pin spares than some kind of cluster, because those could get really dicey. Well, you see what I mean? Sometimes they will allow for a little bit of hook even with a plastic ball, but they'll bite off a little more than they need. And that's what happened to John that time. So that open frame means this match is down to just 10 pins, and Gilbert, with a strike working in the 5th, has an opportunity here. He can tie this match up with a strike in the 6th. He's been close every time on the right lane so far. Oh, just a little wide that time. And the 2 remains. So with a conversion, he will remain 10 pins behind, heading into the final 4 frames of the match. He has really taken his time today. He was not happy with the way he bowled in qualifying. In his first game today, he shot 160. And he was shaking his head like, well, that's not going to get me anywhere. And I told him, well, hang on a second. I think you're in second. And he was after the first game. And then he shot a 146 and thought that he shot himself out of the event, but he was still in the top 4. Grabbed the 4th position. I told him, just hang in there. Scores are not very high. That went a little left of where he wanted it, but he got away with it. When scores are low, you just take whatever breaks you can get and just try to keep the ball in play. You don't have to make hero shots. You just got to make good commercial shots. This, not his best, but you know what? A strike is a strike is a strike. You go quietly, and now let your opponent see what he can do. And John throws one right in the hole. So both players with strikes in this frame. We'll watch John's shot again. He really stays with the shot a long time through release. That's one thing you really like to see. Don't quit on a shot. Pull up and out of it or fall off too soon. Oh, a little high, but he trips the 4. So that double moves John out to a 20-pin lead. We'll watch this one again in split screen. Watch his reaction. He's a fiery guy. All right, Gilbert once again gets up on the right lane with a strike working. He had a very similar opportunity in the 6th. A strike there, he could have got this match back to even. Now, a strike in the 8th would cut the lead to 10. But once again, he comes in light and again leaves the 2-pin. So another opportunity squandered. But he doesn't lose ground as long as he converts this single pin spare. And we're getting to a point in the match where there's no wiggle room for mistakes. He needs to cover this and then put another strike up in the 9th. Set himself up for the 10th. All right, he got the first part of that done. And now he's asking for a re-rack. I don't see anything wrong with the pins. I think he's taking a re-rack just to slow things down a little bit, try to ice the kicker, as it were. Slow John down somewhat, make him sit for a while and think about it. That can sometimes work to your advantage. Slow the pace down a little bit. Seems to work even better when you're playing old guys who get stiff sitting there. All right, Gilbert. He needs a strike here to set up the 10th. Oh boy, and does he ever get one. He comes in light in the swish zone and mixes them up. Watch this. He trusted this one out to the right, gave it plenty of room. That's out to about the 2nd board. Hits light and shakes them up. Watch his reaction. I think he probably knew that one was good as soon as it left his hand. But now all he can do is sit and hope. Well, John with a 9 count. So now the situation is this. Gilbert still has a possible 217. John is going at a 216 pace. So if John fails to double in the 10th, Gilbert can strike out and win. All right, there's a spare for John. But now he holds his fate in his own hands. He had the option and he chose to finish first, and this is why you choose that. If it comes down to the 10th frame, you want an opportunity to get up in the 10th, perform, and shut out your opponent. Well, he's going to have that opportunity right now. He needs a double. And there's the first one. So now the situation is this. If John strikes on this next ball, he'll need just 2 pins on the fill ball to shut out Gilbert. If he fails to strike on this next ball, Gilbert can get up and double in the 10th. And he'll need some count on the final ball to win, but it's all up to John here. Boom! That is clutch bowling right there. I don't care if you're a tour pro or a top-level amateur or a youth bowler. You get up and throw a double in the 10th to win, and my hat's off to you. You can't do it any better than that. On a tough sport shot. All right, he needs 2 pins. Just stay behind the foul line, young man. There's all 10 and a 226. That's the high game we have seen thus far in this Prodigy event. And John will be moving on to face Big Logan in our next match. And now Gilbert finally finds the magic path to the strike on the right lane. He would have liked to have seen that in the 6th or 8th or both. Man, he trusted that one out to about the 1 board. And slapped out the 10. He gave it a little extra at the bottom. But it's a little too late now. Possible 217. Well, he didn't give that one near as much room, but it's all academic anyway. John has this match salted away. Gilbert with a 203 if he converts. The 3, 6, 9, 10. Which he doesn't do. So that's going to be a 199 and a 226 for John, who will move on to our second match in the Bigs. He will face Logan Mathis when we return right after this. Today was a big day for us at Prodigy Bowlers Tour as Prodigy star Big Logan Mathis held a brief signing ceremony to sign his scholarship deal with Emmanuel College, where he'll be joining their men's bowling team this fall. Logan will join Peyton Smith and Josh Donahue on the men's team and Tony the Tigress McQuarrie on the Emmanuel bowling team when school starts in the fall. I had an opportunity to visit with Joey Kendrick, head bowling coach at Emmanuel College. How about the bowling program at Emmanuel? Tell us about it.
Well, the bowling program at Emmanuel, the program began, their first season of competition was 13 and 14. I was not there for the first year. I came in the second year, 2014, 2015. This is my 5th year at the school. We've have a very competitive men and women's program. Our women in the last 4 years have been to 2 national championship finals. Our men have been right there on the edge of it, and hopefully this year we get both teams in there. And that's our plan. That's our goal. We keep right now we have around 10 guys and 10 young ladies in our program, and we're trying to expand it to up to 15 within the next year or so.
And you just signed one today.
Yes, sir. We signed Logan Mathis out of off the Prodigy Tour here today. Met Logan last year and been real impressed with the way he bowls, mostly with his ball speed and his rev rate and his overall game.
He's a good guy. You're going to love working with him.
We're looking forward to having him join us next year.
So we've got a lot of kids, junior bowlers, that watch the show. We've got a lot of grown-ups too, but for the benefit of the kids that watch the show, give us a tip or two about what they should know about transitioning from junior bowling to collegiate bowling. What should they do to get ready?
Well, some of the things, first off, college bowling, it's different. It's all done on sport shots, sport conditions, and it's all team format. A lot of people who have success in the junior circuits and junior tournaments is all singles competition. So once you get into collegiate, the tempo, the pace of bowling is slower. You're looking at about 5 to 6 minutes per shot. And it's learning the tempo, it's learning to bowl as a team. You have to watch each other's shots, you have to bowl together to let the lanes transition in a way that favors a team, not just an individual. Because ultimately it's a team sport. There's a lot of good individual bowlers that sometimes unfortunately struggle their first year in college bowling because they're of the slower tempo and how they like to play the lanes differently for score purposes, when you get in college bowling, you need 5 people that can not necessarily play the same exact line, but be in the same part of the lane, using the same part of equipment, such as ball surface and stuff.
What's the biggest thing that you find with youth bowlers coming to Emmanuel? The biggest thing that you have to teach them, that they have to change about their game to take that next step?
Well, not necessarily. We don't necessarily try to change everybody. If the main thing we want to do is build on strengths, and probably the first year we focus a lot on team play and spare shooting. Our postseason is all based off of Baker format. Baker format, if you're not familiar with it, 5 bowlers make up a game of bowling. So a bowler will bowl the first and 6th frame, another bowler bowls the 2nd and 7th, and so forth. Spare shooting is so crucial in Baker format because, as we know, it's hard sometimes to carry. 9 spare is, on the men's side, if you're averaging upper 190s, you're going to be very successful. Girls' side, you're averaging high 180s, you're very successful. And all that is 8-9 spare for 10 frames. The spare shooting is very key because in Baker format, a lot of the junior bowlers, we know we can string strikes together. So if we struggle a little bit, miss a couple makeable spares at the beginning of the game, we know we can get 3 or 4 in a row to cover that. In Baker format, you don't have that opportunity. If you miss a spare, it goes to the next guy, hoping they can double up for us. And ultimately what it does is it puts more pressure on them to make the better shots. So spare shooting we focus a lot on that the very first semester when we get there.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us, and good luck this season.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it, and appreciate all you guys do for the youth bowling here.
So, 1 match in the Bigs down, 2 more to go, as John Woolfolk made his first trip to bowl Prodigy a successful one, winning his opening match on the show today. Now he'll bowl the latest recruit to the Emmanuel College program. And many thanks to Joey Kendrick for taking the time to visit with us. How cool was that? But now we move to our semifinal match between our 3-seed John Woolfolk and our 2-seed Big Logan Mathis. Once again, Big Logan, being the higher qualifier, had the choice of starting lanes, and he has elected to let John lead off. Logan wants to finish first. And I rather imagine Logan's going to need to bring his A game because John looks like he has this pair figured out to the tune of a 226 that first game. Well, he gets a crossover to begin. Not the way you draw it up, but hey. Watch this. This will hit the Brooklyn pocket, and watch the 3-pin slip between the 10 and the 6 and kick the 6 out from behind. Ugh. Well, I think Big Logan just threw that one too hard. He's playing out there intentionally. That's where you want to be. But I think he just put a little too much steam on it. And like a golfer hitting a putt too hard, he just hit it through the break. And then he appears to have slipped at the foul line. He looked down at his feet. You see him grab the shoe. Something went wrong there. And he's open in the first. 8 out. I imagine we'll see some opens. We have just about every game. The fast 8. Logan in the pocket, maybe just a pinch high. The 2 flies up and around the 4 and the 7. And he leaves a relatively simple spare. But every spare, you got to be careful on this pattern. He goes straight at it and hits a little too thin on the 4-pin and sends it around the 7. And there's an unforced error. And back-to-back opens right out of the gate for Big Logan. Not the start he had in mind. So John probably can't believe his good fortune. Will try to take advantage of it and put a double on the board right away. And that's exactly what he does. So a double to start. He would never have guessed he'd be 33 pins in the lead after 2. That is a solid strike right there for John Woolfolk. And I take that back. That's a turkey to start. And looky here. A 43-pin lead. And Big Logan has got to be thinking, well, now. Better snap your chin strap on because John is not waiting for you. Well, Logan didn't send that one as wide, and I'm sure he expected it to come back, but instead he's got the 1, 2, 4, 8. And he throws two-handed at it and hooks by it. Well, Big Logan actually began as a two-hander, but he went to one-handed to take something off it. Comes in just a skosh high and leaves the 4-pin. And this match is getting out of hand in a hurry. Are you kidding? He went thumbless that time. All right. John seems stunned by this. Well, he almost got a crossover, trip 6, but a little too high for that. But now he'll take his plastic ball and go cross lane at the 6-pin. And he whiffed it. Well, sometimes when your opponent is lost like that, as Big Logan seems to be, it can cause the other player to lose his focus a little bit. I'm not sure if that's what happened to John, but that was surely an errant shot. But let's see if he can get back up on the horse here. I believe he can. And that's what you call your light shaker wall shot. Here, we'll take another look at it. Watch the head pin. It'll go to the left wall and come back and take out the 4, 5, and 7. The classic wall shot. All right, Big, let's see what you got. Well, Mama told me there'd be days like this. He bowled pretty well in qualifying, got off to a slow start with a 154, but even that was good for 4th. Oh, look at this. Well, he's just mentally on Jupiter right now. He is not even here. Big Logan is having an out-of-body experience right before our eyes. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. We'll watch this again. This is what they signed up for at Emmanuel. Not those first 5 frames. All right, John with a chance to extend the lead to 75. But now he sends one into the weeds and leaves the stone 1, as I like to call it. That's as solid a hit as you'll ever see leave the 1 pin. Well, you would expect he certainly wouldn't have any problem with this. But you would be wrong. What is going on? Well, I don't know what to tell you. It looked like the first ball he just threw too hard. John doesn't seem to have a low gear, but then again, we've only seen him on Prodigy bowl on a 32-foot oil pattern, so put him on Badger sometime and he might show you a slower speed. Light shaker 4. And now this match has settled down into a slower pace. we got the 4-pin? Yes, we do. All right, let's project here. Logan can strike out. Yes, he can. For 192. John is going at a 195 pace. But Logan crowds the head pin just a little. And there's a 4-pin. He's not getting any breaks. And I suspect, reading his body language, he is already resigned to his fate in this match. But, all right, let's look at it again. All right. He's got a possible 172. So that would mean John would have to give him 1 or 2 gifts in the closing frames. Could happen. He's already opened twice. Well, there's a solid strike from Logan. Someone in the crowd liked it. All right, John, just stay clean and see if you can walk this one home. There is one in the swish spot. And with his rev rate, he ought to be able to strike all day in that area. Watch this. This will hit that half pocket. Sends everything over to the left side of the rack. All right, now. A strike here would just about end it. Oh! What kind of sorcery is this? Well, that gives John a 63-pin lead, and watch this again. Watch the 6-pin. It'll go to the wall and bounce back and get the 3 from behind, and, well, that's cheating. All right, Logan must strike and hope for divine intervention. Not gonna happen. You hear Logan say, "Why can't I do that?" referring to the kind of strike that John just got. Well, you start with 5 opens in a row, and it's probably not gonna be your day. He covers the 6-10, but he's just going through the motions now. Logan is a funny guy. He can get discouraged easily, and I think he may have gotten that way pretty early in this match. Long before it was actually out of hand. And I suspect when he gets to Emmanuel, they will go to work on that. But we're working on it with him too. They're getting an awfully fine young man, I will say that, for Big Logan. He's burning, I promise you, he is burning. But you know what, sometimes you have days like that. All right, John will finish out here. Possible 225. Well, not anymore. But he can still get over 200 with a conversion here. We've only seen 3 200 games bowled today. Nick had one the first game of qualifying. Logan had one the second game of qualifying. John had one in that last match when he shot 226 to dispatch Gilbert. And now with a 7 count on his final ball, he can get the 4th one. Possible 203. All right, 201. Still a good game, and Logan's a good sport about it. Gives him a handshake, but it's John Woolfolk who will meet Nick Dissinger for the championship next. Hey, it's me, Coach Randy, with exciting news about a new way you can help support Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Over the past couple of years, we've had a number of Prodigy fans say they'd love to offer something in payment for the Prodigy content seen each week on YouTube throughout the bowling season. Well, I'm pleased to announce that Prodigy is now on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Now, in case you're not familiar with it, Patreon is a platform where YouTube content consumers like you can connect directly with YouTube content creators like me and pledge a small amount of money each month to support the work that goes into creating the content that you enjoy watching. It's based on the age-old concept of patrons. About 30 to 40 hours of work goes into the production of each and every episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. So if you enjoy the content on Prodigy Bowlers Tour each week and you'd like to support the show, please check it out at patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour. There are 4 affordable subscription tiers, and each one offers a different reward, up to and including sneak peeks of shows before they're released to the public, exclusive behind-the-scenes content that only members will ever see, and there's even a tier that will enable you to get all that and get your name in the credits each week as a producer of the show. You'll be helping me to be able to continue making the show each week and even reinvest some of the money into improving the show going forward. Thanks for checking it out, and thanks for supporting Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Well, I know that was not the game Logan had hoped to bowl on the day his future college coach had come down to sign him to bowl this fall. But the excitement of the moment may have proven to be a bit of a distraction. In any case, we all know Logan is a better bowler than he showed in that match. But John just kept pounding away at the pocket in match 2 of today's event that we're calling Big Bad Wolf. And that brings us to the championship match between our 3 seed, John Woolfolk, and our tournament leader, Nick Dissinger. Which one of these 2 young men is going to huff and puff and blow the doors down to sign the coveted trophy pin? We should know in about 20 minutes. And to no one's surprise, Nick, being the higher finisher, has elected to let John start the match. Nick wants to finish first. Oh, my goodness. He's got all the shots today. Right through the snoot, and they all go down. Watch this, the old Jersey squasher. Over the 3rd arrow, that one only got out to about the 11 board, and they all just caved in somehow. All right, Nick, he is going to be out by the edge, even farther out than where Gilbert was. And playing urethane today. That is a good play on short oil. Smooths out the reaction, tames it a bit. Nick certainly not wanting for rev rate. And that one was right in the pocket. So both players with a strike to begin. It's not often we see players playing this far out by the edge. Yeah, he pulled that one. That was left of the first arrow. And you knew that he meant to hit either the first arrow or even just a little right of it. One thing about Nick, he is fearless. And he's also spareless in this game so far. There's a mistake we don't see him make very often. That wasn't even close. So an open frame, and John has an early gift handed to him. Oh dear. Well, that ball looked like it reacted a little more than he's been seeing thus far. He's got the 3-9-10, and this can be difficult. You got to put the ball on the right side of the 3, let the ball deflect into the 10, but still have enough on it to carry out the 9. You've really just got to split the 9 and 10 with the ball and just tick the 3. But you do have to hit one of them. And there's a big mistake by John, and he hands the gift right back to Nick, who takes the lead sitting on the bench. Well, as I mentioned earlier in the show, when the lanes are hooking this much, any spare can be tricky. We have seen single pin spares missed, and even spares like that, you just hook right by them all. All right, he made a slight adjustment, it looked like. And this time it doesn't quite get up. So he's got the 2. Now he shot at this with plastic earlier and missed it on the right. He's going with his strike ball. I believe this is a urethane ball. And it hooks enough to get there. The thing about sport shots is you usually don't have enough time in warm-up to really have any idea where to stand to shoot your spares. That's why so many players just take plastic and just take the oil pattern completely out of play. Oh, he stuck at the line and still broke up the 4-9. That's a huge strike for Nick. Watch this. I don't know if he stuck or if he slipped, but something wasn't right. Watch him look down at the approach. He slipped. And he tripped out the 4 and the 9. You thank the bowling gods for that one. Wow, that's more like the line he wanted to play, but it looked like he took a little speed off that one. The temptation is to throw it a little slow when you're throwing it out that far to the edge. Two schools of thought on making the Greek church: either go for the 3 or slide the 4 over into the 9, let it bounce forward and get the 6 and hopefully get the 10. I've made it a couple of times that way. He's going to go for the 3 for count. And when you don't have to make it, that's probably the smart play. Get the count. So, another open for Nick. Uncharacteristic for him. And now John back up on lane 38, the right lane. And once again, the ball overhooks, goes through the nose, and now he's got the 3-6. He goes back to his plastic ball for this. And he gets the spare. I noticed that the 3 and 6 looked like they were spread a little bit. It looks like the pin setter is setting them fine for the first ball, but when it respots them for the spare, it looks like it's moving either the 3 to the left or the 6 to the right. He's lucky he didn't chop that. Saw that earlier in our Littles match. Just a little high, and that was almost disaster, as the 6 was late to go, but he has just the 4. But again, we've seen all kinds of spares miss today, so he's got to take extra care. Put this ball right on the 4-pin. Or right on the edge of the 4-pin. Now, the good news about single pin spares is you don't have to overpower them. Just touch them and they'll go. So now Nick, trailing by 9, up in the 5th frame. He hasn't missed on the right lane yet. Well, he has now, and that was out to the 1 board. The big 4. Well, not much you can do with this. Just take 2 and hope to bounce one out. Whoa! Well, you don't see it made very often, sliding the 4 or the 6 over, but that is one way to play it. But you've got to hit it so thin to get that 4 to go over and get the 6. You're going to miss the 4 more often than you get the 6. Still, 9 out on the big 4 is pretty good. There you go. Nick moved in a little bit, gave himself a little more room, and gets a light one to shake him up. Watch this. He lets this one go at about the 10 board. He gets out to about 3 at the break point instead of out by 1. And he gave himself a little more room. All right, John. Well, now. That was out into Never Never Land. He's playing a little deeper, so he's got room to throw it to the right, but it just didn't come back that time. He's got the 1, 2, 5, 9, and you shoot it just like a strike. Put the ball on the right side of the head pin. The 1 will get the 2, the ball will get the 5 and the 9. Oh, that was a little high on the head pin, but he's still got the spare. And when you're in the heat of competition, you don't ask questions. You take the spares and you go on. Don't overthink it. When you're in the middle of competition, just trust your swing and let her go. And he shreds the rack that time. And that's a big strike in the 7th for John. Watch this one again. Half pocket, 5 goes over and saws out the 7. Watch his reaction to it. He knew he got a handful when he let that one go. All right, Nick. Oh, did you hear him? He said, oh no. He thought he'd thrown it in the gutter. That one was living on the edge for sure. Watch this. At its widest point, I think this was on the 1 board. Watch. Man, it's hanging over the edge. But he had plenty on it to bring it back. And that was a critical strike. Now, Nick can take the lead with a strike here. Boom! That's big. That's big. Here we are down at the end of the match, and he's just put the heat on John. And John needs a strike to respond and take the lead right back. No, but that one was wide. And he was lucky to get 8. Fortunately, it was wide enough that he wasn't flirting with a washout. The 1-2, a relatively simple spare for a right-hander. Relatively simple spare for a left-hander, too. And he gets it. Of course, we did see him whiff the 1-pin earlier. So I hesitate to describe any spare as easy today. All right, John with a possible 194. Nick can go off the sheet for 211. Oh, did I mention something about a washout? That time, John, he didn't miss far enough. The 1-2, 8-10, here's how you make it. And he needs to give it a ride. Hit over on the Brooklyn side of the head pin, throw the 1 pin into the 10. The 2 should get the 8. Oh, but he gets too much of the head pin. And this is no time for an open frame. So now John's possible is 172. Nick just needs to stay clean. All right. I don't know how that messenger missed the 10 pin, but it did. So now Nick with a conversion. He's on a 180 pace. He just needs to make this and mark in the 10th. Oh my goodness. And the plot thickens. And now these two separated by just 6 pins as we watch Nick make an uncharacteristic mistake, whiffing the 10 pin. He can't believe it. But now the situation is this. He needs to double to shut out John. Oh, and he gets the love tap on the 10. So he's given himself a chance now. Watch this. Playing right around 7 at the arrows. He straightened up his angles. Not bellying it so much. Watch his reaction to it. And now he needs this strike and 5 on his fill ball to shut out John. If he doesn't strike on this ball, John can get up and win. How about that one right there? 4 open frames this game by Nick. And I think if you had told him that he would get 4 open frames, I don't think he would have liked his chances of winning. But now he needs 5 pins. Do you move to the middle of the lane when you're playing out by the edge? A little bit. That's good enough. And that's the shutout ball. Nick wins again on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. But I'll tell you what, John came up here from Columbus today, and he showed us something. He showed us an array of strikes. I'm going to have to take another look at that one. This is the Trip 3-9. You don't see this very often. The head pin goes to the wall. No, it knocks. I don't know what that pin was that got the 3. Maybe the 1. Who knows? Possible 172. But the 4 stubbornly refuses to go, so he's going to be in the 160s. Still, John put on a show today. He nearly ran the ladder. And he throws a one-handed shot with all his might. And that's a 161. So Nick wins again on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And we will get his signature on the coveted trophy pin and visit with both of our finalists when we return.
In the afternoon, when things slow down, when you're wondering what to do, let's go! Go bowling! Nothing brings people together or makes friends so fast as bowling. So call a friend. Bowl Brunswick tomorrow.
Thanks once again to Joey Kendrick, the head bowling coach at Emmanuel College, for stopping by today. His words should prove useful for any youth bowler who aspires to go on to collegiate bowling. If you missed his comments, you'll find them just before our second match on the show today. Congratulations to Logan Mathis on signing with Emmanuel. And in the Littles division on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today, congratulations once again to Hunter Moffitt on his win over Rowan Softner. And in the Bigs, I think by any measure, John Woolfolk has to term his first trip to Prodigy from Columbus, Georgia, a success. He nearly ran the stepladder, but like so many before him, came up just a little short when it came time to take on Nick Dissinger, who notched another win today. But I think the biggest winner today was the Big Bad Wolf, which baffled and befuddled the players all day. Something tells me they'll be spending part of their weekend howling at the moon. And that's how we play Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Before we go, let's visit with our finalists in the Bigs.
Well, there's our runner-up, first-time visitor to Prodigy. John, what'd you think?
Yeah,
Got close.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Even though I had to beat Logan and Gilbert. And I tried to get past this guy, but...
Nobody can get past this guy.
He's undefeated right now.
No,
Just about. Well, actually, Tristan got him
Twice.
a couple of times in the championship match. It looks like Tristan is his kryptonite. But that's another visit to the winner's circle. And where did you sign it? Because everybody tried to block you.
I'll just go there.
But you just kind of find a place to sign, and it's another win for Nick. Ho hum! Congratulations.